A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to films I should have talked about years ago. So for this installment, let's take a bit of a look back at 2019 again, because 2019 has had plenty of movies for me to watch. And because I've worked with a theater at the time, I got to see most of them for free. All for free. So, never had to pay a single penny, just to have good admission, good seats, good food, and drinks, at the time at least. But the thing is that one of the many movies I got to see for free at the time was Stuber. Basically, a bit of a take on an Uber driver having to partner with an officer. An officer who is in fact somewhat incapacitated due to a recent surgery. In this case, it's the likes of Kumail Nanjiani and Dave Bautista, whom we have seen for years. By this point in time, both of these actors were at their prime, so it made sense to pair the two together, because each of them has had a pretty nice career over the past decade. And so, when it comes to both of their performances in this film, they actually do a pretty darn good job here. Nanjiani plays an Uber driver who is struggling to find a 5-star review. Not very elaborate in terms of a storyline, in terms of how he does his work and how he plays a role in the film itself. And Bautista is basically a cop. A cop who actually had some ocular operation, and it caused them to have some vision issues. So he ends up relying on Uber as a way to try and get back to his home. Unfortunately, they both end up getting caught in the crossfire of a pretty intense conspiracy. But it's not just any conspiracy, it is in fact a series of crimes with quite a big mafia following behind. And the way that this movie is able to elaborate on it, it really is just a buddy cop-like cliche, but instead of two cops, it's one cop and one driver who works for Uber and drives a brand new 2019 Nissan. And so when you really get down to it, the operations on all this, all fronts, using a civilian vehicle as a way to get to and from various crime scenes and various different sections of the crossfire itself, between one officer and dozens of men out there armed to the teeth, out there in various buildings, out there in the open, out there in various locations. They must search for intel, they must search for evidence, they must have a lot to do trying to solve the riddle. And by the end of the movie, it becomes more than just clear that the driver and the cop are not only good partners, but they happen to be good friends. So to put it bluntly, I do find this to be a really intriguing concept. It was also by this point in time that I actually spent thousands of miles, a lot of money on Uber rides. As a matter of fact, not too recently, I actually did score some free merchandise from them. A little package, if you will, complete with Uber branded stuff, including a bottle, which I do have at the very moment. But that was only because I managed to go a few thousand miles in total, across many rides, and a lot of money I managed to spend on all fronts. So when you really put it together, Uber is not only one of the finest in terms of rideshare services, but it's also been the biggest so far. And it does seem that rideshare services will not go away, especially when there's a bunch of new ones out there. Maybe one of these days I'd have to cash in on my own behalf. I might even name it after somebody. Kelly. Joseph Kelly. Because at the very end of Stuber, what we have is a 5-star review for the driver and for the cop. Complete satisfaction that justice is served. So they both get their wishes, and well, everything's back to normal. So I feel like that, on top of the fact that it has itself a well-played cast, some pretty nicely set action, and some rather intriguing details that are spotted everywhere. The environment, the car itself, a brand new 2019 Nissan Leaf. All of this just adds up to something that is not necessarily seen as well as many movies of its time. Of course, July 2019 was the same exact time that we got to see a bunch of other movies, like the 2019 remake of The Lion King, which just basically serves a baseline as to what's to come for the future of Disney. Multi-billion-dollar winnings. Left and right, that's probably what we're going to be seeing every single day going forward. They scored big in 2019 with about 10 billion American dollars, and possibly more from the rest of the world. And considering that this year, we're going to be getting a brand new Pinocchio film. So, I can't quite say that this stuff is going to be coming to an end anytime soon. At this point in time, though, in terms of Stuber's scoring, it's got itself good action, a nice cast, some pretty impressive comedic relief methods. All that basically comes down to a walloping 7.1 out of 10.1. So it just seems that I'm giving some more average or typical scores, but don't worry. One of these days you're going to see something really surprising. But in all honesties, I'm not quite finding a lot out there that seems to be too exciting. So with that in mind, that just concludes this piece of films I should have talked about years ago. And you can stick around tomorrow to find out more of this stuff. Until then, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.